Chris Schwenk is a tech giant with 15 years in the tech recruitment business and 1 year in the tech podcast business. He has recruited thousands of candidates for high-level tech consulting roles. He is a founder of Delos Staffing and hosts the world-acclaimed Tech Jobber podcast. Please join me as I make welcome Chris Schwenk.
Hi. Let me see the comment section. It's the comment section that will determine if I should bring the guest or I should just tell the guest that, oh, my people are not ready for you. Ta-da! We have Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
How
Very early
you
over here.
doing? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
It's good to have you here, and the audience, they're ready for you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this. Thank you for having me on. This is amazing what you're building over there, and yeah, hopefully you guys can get some value. I've seen a lot of tech careers over the years, and some people are kind of still in the same spot that I knew them 10 years ago, and some people have made millions. So I like to kind of point out the strategies that have worked for people, and it comes down to a couple different paths that I've found, and and that's kind of what I'm going to share with you guys.
Okay, so I think we should give you the would you want to share your screen so we can start?
Yeah, press present, right? Let's see. Share screen. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you guys can see?
Yeah, I'll bring it up now. Yeah, I think it's up. So
Okay.
the floor is yours, Chris.
Okay, so building wealth in tech. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get into it. Okay, so what we're going to learn today, I knew there was kind of a wide range of all levels of tech. So people starting out to people that are kind of midway through their journey and maybe even some senior people. So it's kind of like a speed run of a tech career and some strategies that you should do along the way that are working in 2025 and some ways that can really help you. I've seen people earn really crazy amounts of money, and it's not just from high salaries. It's from all sorts of things. So that's what I'm going to be covering today. What we're going to learn, 3 proven paths to enter the tech space. We're going to master the strategy of landing that first tech job, wealth building, career navigation techniques, discovering advanced income streams through content creation and mentorship opportunities. That's getting really big now. And I know people with only a couple years experience that are already running mentorships and making a lot of money per month off that. Develop an opportunity-focused mindset. This is going to be super important. You have to get to that level of your career where you're kind of owning something, whether it's equity, stock options, or your own business. So I kind of give you some ideas on what to do for that, and recognizing wealth-building moments in your career. Just different opportunities to maybe pick up different skills that can help you along the way. Staying alert to emerging technologies and market shifts, something you should definitely always be doing. Identifying strategic career pivots, that's always good as well. And converting technical expertise into multiple revenue streams, evaluating opportunities beyond your day-to-day role. That's really the most important part. So let's see. Okay, so key outcomes. I want to give you a clear roadmap for the skill acquisition and to actually start your career. That's going to be the most kind of challenging part. I think the average rejection for application is like, 97 to 99%, sometimes even more. So, that part is going to be very tough. I give you some strategies for that. Kind of work out a framework for the progression, how you should move when you should make a move and things like that, salary optimization techniques, modern wealth building strategies in tech, and yeah, once again, those ownership opportunities, you have to be on the lookout for those and you have to capitalize on those. And that is probably your biggest ROI for making big money. And, and then also building your own products, companies, evaluating startup equity, and maximizing corporate stock benefits. Okay, why this matters. Obviously, tech, high compensation packages, remote work opportunities are great. You can work from home, maybe take on multiple jobs at once. I've seen people do that and really stack up their income. And and then obviously the ability to build generational wealth through those strategic career choices. Okay, so who am I? 15 years in IT recruitment. Worked with everything from startups all the way to Fortune 50 companies, some of the biggest companies in the world, and placed thousands of tech candidates. And, I've noticed patterns in people. Once again, I know people that 10 years ago were at the same level that they are now that I'm talking to you. So I want to kind of help people avoid that stagnant career where, for 10 years, your salary doesn't change. Obviously, inflation changes. And so you're actually making a lot less money. So I give you some kind of, some strategies for that as well. Yeah. Why listen to this? These aren't theories or I didn't read this in a book. This is anything I'm talking about. If I give an example, there's actually a real person that I have worked with where I know that has done these strategies. So I think that's why it's very important to kind of get this out. Yeah, I've witnessed thousands of career trajectories, and I know it actually works. I know those people that are still struggling after all these years in the tech space. This is all direct experience of people I worked with, and I've helped them guide through that whole career journey. Yeah, okay, real examples. All right, so let's start with the beginning of the career. Getting that first tech job. To make any money, you need a job, right? So before that, you need skills. So how do you get skills? So there's really three paths to obtaining tech skills. There's higher education, the 4-year degree, or even, the master's on top of that. There's the boot camps, mentorships, and then there are people that are just doing self-directed learning, online courses that are free, kind of free information, YouTubes and Discords and things like that. So we'll go through these real quick. Obviously, we know higher education, they're going to give you a little more depth and a little more wide knowledge. You're going to learn about a lot of things. Really, for this, the networking opportunities is the most important part. That's why you're paying them all that money to fund those big buildings and salaries of everyone that works there. And ideally, they can set you up with alumni and internships, which are great. And, it obviously looks good on a resume. It doesn't look as good as it used to, but it still looks good. And, obviously some of the cons, 4+ years, long time, you could be earning money all those years. And it's going to be the highest cost. And you're going to be learning, they're going to force you to take biology and stuff like that won't really be relevant to your tech career. And the other problem is by the time you learn it, it's been formulated for coursework and the technology may be outdated by then. So that's some of the negatives to higher education. Then we have boot camps, mentorships. These have been red hot probably the last 10 years. Super intense, super focused learning. Yeah, the skills are going to be more current. You're going to, between 6 weeks, I've seen, to some last like 9 to 12 months, but obviously much quicker than 4 years. And a lot of them have some relationships with companies that they can place you in a job right away. So obviously the cons, you never know. You could get scammed on a boot camp. Some of them, the prices are going up too. I've seen some are up to, I've seen one that's like 30,000 US dollars, which is a lot. Yeah, it's going to be less comprehensive. You won't have that alumni network to tap in, but some boot camps are kind of creating their own alumni networks. So That may actually be changing soon. And then obviously we have self-directed learning. That's not going to cost you anything except your time. It's flexible. It's something really good to do while you already have a job, maybe at night, something you'd be learning. Yeah, it's tough to force yourself to do all the coursework. And at the end of it, you can just you can list the technology on your resume, but you have no actual experience. So there's nothing to validate that you actually know it. So those are some of the cons, but it can be great if you already have a job. So you've acquired the skills, one of those three ways. Now we talk about landing that first job. What do you do? Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are going to be based on software engineering, but you can kind of tweak them if you are not a software engineer. Maybe you do cloud or networking. You can kind of change some of these strategies, but you focus on a few projects, develop some, basically the problem solving abilities, and be able to show your code through these portfolios, because some companies will ask. And open source contributions, very good. GitHub, Reddit, Discord, stuff like that. Join in on discussions. Ask people to look at your code. That can develop a relationship with a mentor, and you can hopefully help them, or they can help you get a job from there. Then we have the LinkedIn strategy, probably the best way, honestly. Make sure you have a nice photo. The headline is not just kind of like a cool thing to do. It's going to be very important, because really the key is the headline, because when you comment on someone's post, it'll be your photo and that headline right there. So if someone so they'll see exactly who you are and what you do if you have a good headline, and maybe they're looking to hire there. Maybe, you've commented on someone's post and someone that's hiring is connected with them, and they see, oh, look at this person with that's exactly what I'm looking to hire. They click on your profile, and now you're in a conversation. So LinkedIn is definitely probably the best way right now to get a job. But obviously make sure all of your experience is on there. So you want to be searchable, and you can run your descriptions for whatever you're going to put on LinkedIn, run it through AI, ChatGPT, Claude AI, run it through all that stuff, and make sure it is search optimized. So always be running it through that and adding keywords and making sure that the recruiters can find you. Yeah, I mentioned strategic comments. If there's a company you want to work for, connect to all the HR people, connect to all the hiring managers in your space, see when they're posting, and comment underneath, and you'll get noticed. If you just like the post, they won't really see you. You have to comment, and that's when they'll see you and everyone else will see you. So definitely don't sleep on LinkedIn. Obviously, networking. There's definitely local events wherever you are, but then check the online communities. Like I said, Discord, Slack, Reddit. That's where you can find a lot of kind of tech people, and you can connect with them virtually and really develop some great relationships there. Resume. Yeah, I mean, run all that stuff through AI. Make sure that it looks clean. Obviously, don't have any mistakes, and any technologies you've touched, any experience you have, make sure definitely on that resume. And be prepared to, depending on what role you are interviewing for, be prepared to change your resume for every role, because that's how competitive it is right now. So that's something to be mindful of a lot. And sometimes you have to do it very quick, because that's also how competitive it is, because you might have a couple hour window to change your resume, get it over, and get a look from the hiring manager. So then obviously preparing for the interview. Yeah, be practicing your code. You can pull mock interview questions from ChatGPT or AI services. Kind of, you can even go on actually TikTok has a lot of good interview tips. So don't sleep on that as well. When it comes to those behavioral questions, a lot of people will give you really good answers for that. So I would definitely check that out before you interview, and make sure you've researched the company a little and have a couple questions to ask them. It doesn't really matter what you ask, just that it shows you've done your homework, really. So All basic stuff, but it still gets lost all the time. So definitely don't sleep on this slide. Okay, so now you have a job. Now what do you do? Right. Okay, so you're working your tech job, whether it's engineering, cloud, networking, whatever. Right. So this part is this really separates people that accelerate their careers and not. So skill development and assessment. So always be, auditing your skills, figuring out what you are lacking or what you could do better. Yeah, keep your finger on the pulse of the job market. Just kind of go on Indeed and have job alerts so you can see jobs in your industry. A, there might be one you want to apply for, which is, that's one reason to do it. But B, you can see what skills in your industry people are hiring for. There might be a technology, you're a cloud person, and there might be a technology added to these job descriptions. You don't even know what it is. So you have to go. So that's what the job market is hiring for. You might be on the job market soon. You should probably look into that skill, figure out what it is, and maybe get some experience doing it. So yeah, and that really is key is making sure you are current and tight with your skills. Maybe review some of your old whether textbooks or coding challenges or stuff like that, and don't let those slip. So strategic job hopping. So yeah, so this is another place where people can really level up their salary. People that job hop just make more money because you're more valuable to a company that doesn't have you than does have you. So a lot of times, company will give you a 2 to 5% raise. Meanwhile, another company will give you 20% more. So always be have one foot in the job market just in case. And then after kind of that 2-year mark, maybe start to make a move, or really ramp up your search if you're not able to improve your title at your current company. Or as I'll also talk about, if some companies will sponsor your certifications or pay for you to go back to school. So yeah, your salary may only be going up 2%, but you're going to be worth a lot more on the job market because you worked with this company. So look for opportunities like that as well. Then you have to decide industry specialization. So maybe you are going to be a healthcare specialist, and that's a really good way you could bounce around different healthcare companies, and you are acquiring bigger and bigger jobs within that niche because the competitors of that company will will pay more to bring in a top level person from that competitor. So that comes with networking within the industry. And like I said before, really staying in touch with the industry trends, because you don't want to, maybe all the competitors are using this technology that you don't have at your company. And now when you try to get hired by them, people aren't interested in you. So definitely keep those Indeed alerts going. That's going to be a constant theme. And if you're posting on LinkedIn or Reddit or stuff like that, show that you are an expert in that field, and that's industry specific content. So that kind of, because nowadays, if you're writing about whatever it is, we'll take the healthcare business. The algorithms will find people in that healthcare business to send your post to, because they want to send it to as many people that'll be interested as possible. So use that to your advantage as well. Yeah, technology stack growth, kind of like we were saying before. Always be adding skills. If you haven't added skills in 3 to 6 months, there's a problem. So there's definitely, because that's how fast the tech industry changes. So definitely always be looking to stack on top of the skills that you have as far as technical stack. Yeah. So like I said before, YouTube, create your YouTube channels. Whatever you do, there's going to be people on YouTube There's going to be podcasts, newsletters that are in that field. And that is so important to staying current because they're going to be interviewing people that, that are on top of the field. So, so that's a great way to, learn about stuff that you may not be learning about your current job. It's an opportunity that, really, like when I got into the business in 2007, we didn't really have that. So now it's great to, stay on top of whatever industry it is. Keep assessing your skills, updating, job hop, specialize in a certain niche or industry, really. And then, look at that 2-year rule when it comes to maintenance and job hopping. If you haven't moved up in 2 years, it's really time to go. It's time to go or ask them what's going on. So, so always be aware of that. Yeah. And keep growing your skills. So that's like kind of that mid-career part. And again, that's the way to really enhance your career and put it on the fast track, I think. Okay, so now we will talk about, all right, so now you're past that mid-career part. Now, what do you do? Because you can't stay there forever, right? So kind of the first option is the management track. So what is that? So you become a team lead, then you're a manager, director, VP, CTO. That all those jobs come with massive salary increases. It adds direct reports, which does mean higher compensation, but also a lot of your time will be interviewing and dealing with staff. So there's pros and cons to that as well. But those come with performance bonuses and company bonuses. Also, they come with equity, stock options, RSUs at the senior levels. And, when you go to a startup, if you pick the right one, which, you only hear about the startups that do really well, but it doesn't always happen. But if you pick the right startup and you have that equity, those equity shares, that can really change your entire life to such an absurd degree. I've seen people put multiple 7 figures in their pocket because they picked the right startup. But also, the big tech companies also, they offer kind of just as high of upside when it comes to compensation because their stock goes up faster and is worth more than any. So always be looking to apply and see what you can do to get into a big tech company as well. But a lot of these management roles are kind of internal promotions as well. So the problem is, so I'm going to say here, when it comes to the management track, it is a bit political in nature. So, there is a lot of stress as well. So that's really one track that you could go down, but there are also the consultant track. So then you're paid hourly for your skills. This is what I have the most experience in is consultants. And it's really effective because you have the ability to incorporate yourself. You've turned your skills into a business. And that when you incorporate yourself, that comes with the ability to write off a lot of business expenses that you don't have that opportunity to do as an employee. When you upgrade your laptop, if you're using it for work, that comes with significant write-offs and stuff like that. You can also take on multiple roles very easily as a consultant, maybe part-time work, maybe just a second job at night, or just a total side gig. So you have the opportunity to work as much or as little as you want as a consultant. And, you can, a lot of times you have the leverage if you're really adding so much value as a consultant and the company says, we would love to convert you to a full-time employee. You have a lot of leverage because you can negotiate a very high salary based on the higher hourly rate that you're currently making. So, it really gives you full control over your career. But, as far as the cons of that, sometimes you could be out of work. There might be no contracts in your space and you're constantly client hunting. And, and sometimes does come with travel as well. So some pros and cons there. Now I'll talk about what I've seen recently, and these are the modern career enhancement strategies. So really, it comes down to two big things. There's creator business path, and that is someone who is an expert in that field, where you are, you start off on the technical platforms, GitHub, Reddit, Stack Overflow, and then you start creating content in your space. And whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, eventually move to YouTube, where you're giving information over video to people, or podcasts, interviewing people, or appearing on podcasts. Yeah, that's building your personal brand. It's kind of making you stand out versus other people in your field. And there are obviously nowadays some major opportunities for monetization, sponsorship. People will just sponsor you to talk about their products because you've built a dedicated following for people in your tech space, which is crazy. This kind of goes hand in hand with the mentorship business. I've seen people make, between an extra 10,000 to up to 150,000 a month, starting a mentorship business. They're very popular these days. Some things like platforms like School and Kartra are gaining a major traction. So, and it's amazing. I've seen people make, again, 6-7 figures, and some of them only have a year or 2 years experience in their field. So it doesn't even take the 20 years experience to start one of these, but you're just kind of showing your successes, and you are kind of gaining traction that way. And you're either doing one-on-one mentoring. It's kind of how people start, with the one-on-one mentors, eventually moving up to group mentoring. And then, sometimes they'll take that and eventually do a full-on online course, and that comes with that kind of goes hand in hand with the creator business and the mentor. Basically, if you start a creator business, you're eventually going to start a mentor business. If you start a mentor business, you're going to become a creator. So they very much go hand in hand there. So that's something to really keep in mind as you're gaining skills and you're going through your career, that these two paths, they didn't exist 10 years ago. No one was doing this type of stuff. And now people are not only doing it, they're doing it with very little experience, and they're making a ton of money doing it. So that is something that I'm stressing to everyone in the tech space, like, hey, why don't you start a mentor business? Because if you gain any sort of following, now you're making enough money to pretty much eventually make your day job in tech optional, which is incredible. So in conclusion, what are you going to take away from this? Hopefully you take away that the way people make money are focusing on ownership, right? So ownership comes in different ways. You either start your own company, you become a consultant where you incorporate, you gain stock options or equity at a startup, and also now you are owning your creator business and your mentor business. So those are all the ways that I'm currently seeing people make really a lot of money in tech. But it comes with you have to go into some people just work the job and they're not doing this type of stuff. They're not staying current with the trends, and they're not, because I've had a lot of hiring managers come on my podcast. I ask them, what are some questions you ask? And they say, what podcast in this space do you listen to? So that's another reason to really stay on top of the trends, because you might get asked this, and they're going to know if you're making it up. So, they'll know pretty quickly if you're full of it or not, because that shows you have a passion and you're kind of learning outside of, it's not just a job. You're actually interested in this. So definitely keep in mind that. And always go into these jobs thinking about one of these paths to exit. There might be other paths. These are just ones I've personally seen that people made a lot of money in. So Yeah, never stop acquiring skills, and always look to make a move 18 to 24 months. And always be trying to niche down industry or a certain skill set. The smaller the skill, um, as far as people using it, may actually be good for you as long as there are some people using it, because now you're going to be in high demand because not a lot of people are able to do it. A company may desperately need to bring someone in for that. You can charge a lot of money for that. So that comes with staying with the trends. Always be maxing your comp at each stage of your career. At first, I wouldn't, when you're evaluating companies as as an entry level person, it doesn't really matter, because really your money's going to come further down, but always be focused on what they could teach you. And if they do things like certifications and stuff like that, some companies will fully pay for a $20,000 certification. And now you're making way more money because you worked there. So keep in mind that. And opportunity recognition, look for ways to scale your impact. And right now, people in the tech space, they're not thinking about building their personal brand for the most part. It's kind of like, whatever, that's something people do online. It doesn't really affect me. I just have a tech job, but probably the next 5 years, that's how you're going to be getting new jobs. And that's how opportunities will just magically fall into your plate, because you have that personal brand and more people are aware of you. Really, that's what a personal brand is. So I would constantly be focused on that throughout your career. Okay, action steps. Yeah, just stuff we've covered. Join the communities, join your local communities, online communities. Always be commenting on people's LinkedIn posts that you want to see you, because again, that's, as far as the quickest, easiest way to get noticed, that is it. Yeah, and tech is a great industry that you've chosen, and there's a lot of money to be made, which is just as important as it being an interesting industry. So keep in mind that, and be focused on these. Use your skills as a way to change your life and your family's life, I'll say. And recommended books. Yeah, I would say Think and Grow Rich. There's a book. It's called Be a Category King, which is very great when it comes to niching down as far as your skill set, which I'm actually going to do a video on soon. So I'll send my LinkedIn and my YouTube for you guys. You can check that out as well. Yeah, I think that is all I have. Here's all my socials. Take a look at the podcast. I post all my open jobs. If you guys are all based in Nigeria, I really have stuff based in the US. But if you ever come over here, then feel free to apply to any jobs that I have. And take a look at what we have going on. And I think that's all I got.